is good. And Ethan or Sarah, can you guys see the visual look okay?
Yeah.
Great. So let's spend a few minutes just pawing through I'm going to go to what's really the home page, and which is really sort of the launching pad for all of you all, and just kind of walk you through that. And if you've been out there and you're getting it, if it makes sense, just put me on mute. But I want to make sure we're all tracking. So basically, the layout of the course, starting from the left to right, is really these are standard buttons that you have that you should be playing around with. It's kind of a dashboard that shows you all the courses that you're enrolled in. Then you can get to specific courses here. There's a calendar, and then these items here are all the modules that you have access to. And then this page is really, I tried to make this convenient for you, and every course faculty will do a little differently, but basically, I wanted to give you clear hot links to all the different activities that are within the modules, and then a copy of the syllabus, a copy of the course calendar, which is a section of the syllabus, which tells you specifically where we're at during the course at any particular time. And then again, access to the different modules. So you can actually access modules here in the module link there, or else I'm just going to take us right to the Getting Started module, which is the first module that is listed within the course of a complete list of 16 modules. So basically, hopefully you've had a chance to look through all this, because this is really sort of your reference guide on navigating the course. There's information on Canvas. Everyone posted a hello to the course. I'm sorry, somebody had a question? So obviously not. So, where you posted your intro, sort of who you are, where you work. And then you also posted 3 of your top leadership traits that you've observed in another leader. And so I want to just take a second, and I want to show you that output. What I did is I took all of your characteristics, and I thought it was a nice launching point, and I created a word cloud based on the leadership traits that you folks submitted. And so you can see every word or every descriptor that anybody put within their post is listed on this word cloud, and the words that were used the most frequently are the largest. And so I thought it was super interesting how integrity, communication really just stand out so large as leadership characteristics that you guys have observed in other leaders that you felt were really important. And so as you're thinking about leadership, and as you're thinking about what does my own leadership style look like, how do I interact with people, you can see some of the words that people really are important to them. So, being a person of integrity, being, delivering what you say you're going to deliver, doing what you say you're going to do, the whole idea around communicating and always being information sharing, and then empathy, caring about people, having vision, self-awareness, really that thing that speaks to, I'm aware of my own strengths. I'm also aware of my own weaknesses, and I'm comfortable with all that. And I try to navigate in those. And so this is I thought it was a really nice graphic. And what I did is I actually turned it into the thumbnail for the course. And so when you look at the dashboard now of your courses, you'll see this has replaced the little image, the little person that's like leading 4 other people. That was kind of a green color. So I just thought it was kind of a cool visual, and so I wanted to share that with you. I'm going to go back to the Getting Started module now, and we'll walk through some of the pieces of that I think are important. And so, of course, you guys had a chance to say hello. I had a chance to say hello in the video that I shot at the Dallas Arboretum. And here is an important ad that I haven't done before in a course I'm going to try this semester. What I've done is I will set up during the course, they're already in the course calendar, about 5 or 6 different, what I'm calling a happy hour. And so in the course calendar, you can see there's different dates. They're always on a Tuesday, and they're always from 5 to 5:50. We're 15 people. If you want to get together with me, have some interaction with me face to face, kind of get to know some of your classmates, this form, you can grab a cocktail, grab a coffee, grab a drink, grab your dinner, and we'll just meet together for 50 minutes. No agenda. I'm not going to be lecturing, but I just want to provide people with an opportunity to participate in a more interactive experience during the course. And so these are optional. And if you look at the calendar, the course calendar, Get there real quick. I can show you where those are, just to show you how to navigate to the course calendar. If you have not gone out there yet. Here's a link for viewing the calendar. It can also be viewed over here. And so if you go into the course calendar, you can see that our first happy hour is going to be scheduled, I think, for next Tuesday. So you can see here, and there's already, I think there's probably about 10 people who've already signed up. And so, there's one here in September at the end. There's also one at the 28th. And then there are some other happy hours scheduled in the month of October and et cetera. So just another opportunity for you to sort of get connected to me as your instructor, and then also each other within the class. So I'm going to go back to the course, to the Getting Started module, which I have.
Professor, this is Pamela.
Yeah.
How does it work when we are in Richardson?
You would just click. The happy hours are not going to be face to face.
Okay, it's not. Okay.
The happy hour. I'm sorry, that's a great question, Pam. The happy hours are going to be a Zoom call.
Okay. Thank
Everything
you.
we're doing is on Zoom. Yeah.
Okay.
And that's the other thing. I thought, gosh, it's so hard. We're not together in a classroom. And what way could I get creative around getting together with folks? And so the reason why I'm capping it at 15 is because I don't want people just staring at a screen, but I thought 15 would be a good starting point so it could be interactive. And so if you have questions about the course, if you have questions about a leadership issue at your job, or even around what you're trying to think through around the topic of leadership, that'd be a great place for you to plug into. So that's the leadership happy hour. The other piece I want to draw your attention to is 2 links. One of them is called announcements up here. And then down here, you have something called Ask the Instructor, which is the same thing as the announcements tab. And this is where I will post, for example, you can see when it pops up that, I post what the group assignments were for this. I gotta go to the announcements. What the group assignments were for the Zoom calls. I posted that the grades were posted. I gave you some other week 2 tips on things that I had seen. I put down I shared with everyone the results of the quiz, and so you could see what score, what questions did 100% of the students get right. A nice analysis of that, which if people are interested in looking at, should populate here in a sec. You can see that the average score on the quiz was 87. I thought it was interesting that most people got the question about where I filmed my intro video, and perhaps could have been it wasn't clear, but I tried to be clear. But if you didn't watch that video, it would have been hard to answer that question. So that's just an encouragement for folks. Really spend time on all of the different activities that are in the course, in the modules, and even the intro videos, because I will do a module introduction every week. I'm trying to keep it below 10 minutes. You can listen to it at double speed, but just to give you a highlight of the of the course. And so we'll look at the syllabus in a minute. The other couple of other things I wanted to draw people's attention to was the APA style guide introduction. Your journals don't have to be an APA, but your final paper will need to be. This website right here, it will give you everything you need to know. And I'm going to click on that link too, just to take you there on APA and how to write it, how to use APA. Go load here. It's a tremendous resource, which I think you should bookmark for all of your courses, because you're going to need to understand how to do APA. There are sample papers in here that you can access right over here. Somewhere is a sample paper. Anywho, it's listed in here, and I would get familiar with this site because a lot of the faculty require APA on every assignment. The journals do not require APA. They don't require references, but your final paper will. So be mindful of this important website. And then because you're going to need it throughout the program if you're new and are unfamiliar with APA. And the template, the sample student paper that's in that website is really fabulous. So the other piece I wanted to really call out was this piece about academic integrity. And so there is a training which we're asking every student who is enrolled in the program to complete on academic integrity. and it's new this semester. And one of the requirements is that once you've completed the academic integrity training, you only need to complete it one time. You complete an attestation that you have completed. It's just a yes, no question, kind of like you do when you do a training at work and you have to indicate that you've read the policy or completed the training. And you only need to do that once a year. And the purpose of that is that we want to make sure that people are completing the training and that they're getting the information on academic integrity and that they're indicating they've gotten it. And so we have all that buttoned down. And then you don't need to do it for every course. You just need to attest to the fact that you've completed it. And that will make sure that you understand the importance of understanding the principles of academic integrity, particularly in an online environment. You know, it's just, you know, you can go out and you can find websites where you can buy a paper, you know, for a course. And so we're trying to help students to think about how they approach their assignments differently. And so that's it for the getting started module in terms of looking at sort of high level. I wanted to remind you that if you don't have notifications turned on, make sure they're turned on, particularly for grade results. They're turned on for announcements. So when I post an announcement, you can set Canvas up to notify you in an email, and the email can either go to your UT Tyler email, or you can even have it to UT Tyler either forwarded to your Gmail. So make sure you're staying up to date on those announcements. Also, if you have questions about anything in the course, you can feel free to, you know, put an announcement in there, and I'll respond to people pretty quickly. So I'm gonna jump over to the syllabus now, unless there's questions. First, I'll pause regarding what we just talked about. Any questions? All that makes sense. Great. In terms of the syllabus, I'm going to hop over there, and I'm not going to read it word for word. But I want to walk through a couple of points that I think are important for you to know about. And so within the syllabus, there's contact information for me right here, office hours for me. But I want to just remind everyone that I'm available as much of 24/7 as possible. And then do sleep, but you guys can text me, you can email me, you can connect to me anytime you want. I'll try to respond to you within 12 hours. I try to respond to people pretty quickly once I get an email. You can also reach out to me by text, and if you send me an email and you got a question, I'll just send you my cell number. It's not confidential. I probably should post it in the announcement so you have it, but I would rather that you text me than even send me an email sometimes. If I don't want to miss the email, unless it's something that's not urgent. I don't want you waiting around. If you're doing the bulk of your work on a Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I don't want you waiting around on a Sunday trying to figure something out and not having the answers. And so feel free to reach out to me and talk to a number you already by text and by phone. So happy to do that. The other piece I wanted to make sure people are tracking on is this section right here within the assessment section and the methods that are evaluations. There's 4 key methods we'll be using: the reflection journals, the assignments that are in the modules, along with the quizzes, those mini quizettes that are in the modules, and then the leadership model and the final exam. And these two are the bulk of your grade, 35% on both of these. And so the PowerPoint presentation and the paper equally as important as the final. Just make a note, the final exam will be open book. So hopefully that relieves some of your guys' anxiety about taking a final exam on a lot of content. It'll be about a minute per question. You know, the literature says that students really who spend time in the content, who understand the material, can usually answer a question within about 30 seconds. And then if for some reason you need to really scramble and try to find the answer, you have your materials available. And if you're keeping up with the readings, and if you're focusing on reviewing the PowerPoint slides, you know, Dr. Ledlow created those as a sort of study guide for the course. And so staying current with the material that's in the PowerPoint slides, you know, you're gonna do very well on that exam. And then the other piece here is the required materials around, and a bunch of questions on the earlier call about this link and the Enneagram and the textbook. So I put links in there for you to access those tools. And then here is the course calendar that has all of the modules that can help you kind of get centered on where we're at every week, sort of what are the key deliverables for those modules, what chapters are we focusing on, and then there's also a cutout of this particular section of the syllabus in the module, getting in the home page of the module, that you can actually just go right to this, and you can actually get access to the course calendar. And then the other piece in here that I wanted to draw your attention to, we'll talk about the leadership model paper, the PowerPoint in a few minutes, but I wanted to show you, I wanted to draw your attention to the late policy. And the module, it says that late assignments for the journal are not accepted. The language probably is not that clear enough that that's been shared with me. The late assignments for the journal submissions, they will be accepted, but there is a 5% reduction in the syllabus for people who turn in assignments late. What my intention around the wording around late, call me if you want to submit late and you have a reason prior to being submitted late. That's the only way that you won't lose points, is if we talk or connect prior to the due date of the assignment. So those are the key pieces of the syllabus, and you can review that at your leisure, and then send me a note or post something in the announcements if you have additional questions. So I'm going to pause there. We went through the bulk of the getting started module, the things that are important. I think I also mentioned, and if I didn't with you guys, I did earlier, but this attestation training, I want to remind people that it needs to be completed by the end of module 3. You cannot access module 4. So that is a important component. So if that's a problem, please let me know, because you won't be able to go advance through the course beyond module 4. There's a trigger there to keep you from advancing. I'm going to pause there and just see if there are any questions about any of the information that we just talked about. And I'm not going to belabor the point, so if there isn't, we're just going to keep rolling. So I want to take you guys into the next sort of information I want to share with you guys, which is around the leadership model that is a key deliverable for the course. And to me, this is really the most important work that you guys are doing, because what the purpose of this model, the development of this model, is really to help you as an emerging leader, or if you're in a leadership role right now, is really to begin to think about, we talked in the first module about the whole idea around theory. And, we view the world through models. It's just how things work. And so if we have theories around these things, we look at the world through models. They help us to make sense out of things, to put some boundaries around things. And so the purpose of the leadership model is really to help you take the principles and the concepts that we're learning in the course and applying them to your own sort of the way that you're wired, to help you come up with what's important for you as a leader, and how do you want to interact as a leader, what's your own personal model. And you'll learn more and more about leadership models as you continue through the course. But the purpose of the model is really to begin to really think about this in a way that really gives you a framework based on how you're wired to build your model. And so the model project really has 5 key components. The first piece is really explaining some of talking about the things that you have learned in the course around formal leadership models. And you can see just from module 1, people have been studying leadership, they've been building leadership models, and leadership theories have been evolving for hundreds of years, right? For decades and centuries. And so how have the things that you've learned, what's resonated with you, what has helped you to kind of think about things differently? And I know a number of you in your journals submissions talk about that, about, wow, I didn't really think about this, or I didn't think about that piece. And so that's the first section. The second piece is to take your findings from the 3 assessments, which you'll do actually this week, which is the Enneagram assessment, the Clifton Strength Finders, and then the dynamic leadership model, and look at the output of those 3 assessments and use those to help build your framework based on how you're wired as a person. And so that's data you want to look at, and you want to really identify what are my strengths, how am I wired? And then how does that influence me as I begin to build out this model? And then you want to build the model itself, and there's a number of a lot of information on how a model looks with what your theory is. You want to think about what's my vision as a leader. What do I value? What are the 5 or 8 things that are important to me as a person, as a leader? Do I value integrity? Kind of like the word cloud that we did, integrity, self-awareness. Those can be sort of values for you that are important to you. You want to include those. And then the last thing that you want to do is you want to develop a leadership development plan. And I'm going to flip over to that document and show you guys what that looks like, because I think it's an important part of the assignment, and it's something that you can actually use if you're in a leadership role now, or even if you're not, with your boss, in terms of how you want to develop. And it might even be worth your time to actually sit with your boss and ask them about your development plan. And many of you already have these in place within your current role. But the leadership development plan will be a part of the model that you submit, the written component. And you can see it's very self-explanatory. What is it that you want to develop? How are you going to develop? How are you going to measure it? Why is that a benefit? And when are you going to do these things, these different activities, to help you take your leadership model, convert it into sort of actionable steps? And the instructions here is that you don't want to have more than 3 to 5 different things that you want to focus on as a leader and in your development plan. And so those are the 2 main components. And then the third piece is that you'll want to pull together a PowerPoint presentation for the leadership model, and that you won't deliver that presentation, but you'll submit it. And that 3 to 5 slides on the PowerPoint presentation. So the leadership model is not a huge ask. It's, I think, 7 to 10 pages, whatever the specifics are within the assignment, and then the PowerPoint slide, and all that's listed in both the rubric section and also in the development plan. I'm going to pause there and see if there's any questions about anything, either with the final exam. We kind of talked about that already. Multiple choice, true, false, open book. Study your notes, study your textbook, you'll be fine. And then the leadership model. So any questions about that before we sort of kind of land the plane?
I have one. When do we use ProctorU if it's open book?
Got it. That's a great question, Joe. You will not use it for my exam. You don't need to worry about that. Now, other faculty, I think Dr. Kennedy is using ProctorU. Some of the other faculty might be, but for ours, since it is an open book, it is a time test though, Jill. So it's good. You'll get between 45 seconds and a minute per question, probably more like a minute, which is the normal number of time for a question. So that's the only thing else, because if we don't need to be, the ProctorU really monitors you in a proctoring environment. So great question. What else? Anything else on people's minds? I just had a couple things that I wanted, just a couple tips that I kind of wanted to share with you guys before we wrap up. And I think that the first one really has to do with the importance of writing. And I talk with students about this in many of my courses about how, as a leader, and I've seen people lose their jobs as leaders because of their inability to really write in a way that they're able to influence and communicate with folks. That was a way that was easy to consume, and that was clear. And so I want to really encourage you to use these weekly journal. I like to force people to write in my courses. I think there's a lot of benefit to writing. It teaches us how to think. It forces us to think about stuff, and a lot of us hate it. But I think it's a discipline that's so invaluable, especially when you're in a leadership role and you are trying to communicate to people information and concepts that are complex. Having a limit on a 2-page journal where I have to take a lot of stuff and thin it down, that's an excellent exercise to help us to learn how to communicate in writing effectively. And so make sure when you submit your journals that you're reviewing those, they make sense, they're clear, and that you are able to really consume what you've written in a way that makes sense. And I will give you feedback on that if ideas aren't clear or I think that they need to be rethought about. The journal is not so much the way I review the journals is really, have you done one or have you not done one? Versus going through each one and criticizing or trying to give you feedback on how to make it better. Because the purpose of a journal is for you to write and you to learn and work on your writing skills and to have that practice. And so I just like to attach some points to it to give people motivation to do it. But it's really more about you practicing your writing. And so I'll give you some feedback on that, but really make sure that the writing that you submit really makes sense and it's logical and easy for the reader to consume. The other thing I want to encourage people to do is people miss points so often because they don't read the assignment. I mean, I try to be crystal clear. Do these 4 things. Don't do 5. Don't do 3. Do 4. And so really make sure you're reading the assignments in all the different modules. And then last thing I wanted to ask you, if you wouldn't mind, in the next module number 3, I like to provide an opportunity for folks to give feedback on how the course is going. And so there's two items here, an online feedback tool where it's multiple choice, where I want you to rate the course so far in the first 3 modules. And then there's another option for you to add any narrative about the course that you'd like to look at, or that you would like me to look at and understand how I can make the course better for you, because we still have a bunch of railroad track ahead of us, right? We still have 16 or 13 more weeks. So I take the feedback that students give me very seriously because it's your course. I want to make sure it works for you. And so these 2 activities next week will be really helpful for me. And I'll post the results of this online feedback for you. And then I'll use that feedback to help make improvements. So I'm going to pause there and I'm going to mute her. She's working. Anyways, what questions do you guys have for me at this point? Anything jumping that's off the top of your heads that's confusing, you need more clarity on? And again, I don't want to drag the questions out. If you guys don't have them, I think we're set for tonight.
Professor, I came in late. I didn't know if you had already reviewed our Module 2 assignment.
In terms of are you talking about the self-assessments, Danielle?
Yes.
Yeah. We went through them briefly, but basically it's self-explanatory in terms of there's three self-assessments. There's the Clifton Strength Finders, which will give you your top 5 strengths out of a list of 31. There's the Enneagram, which will give you, so the first one's really about strengths. What are you really good at? The Enneagram is really how do you sort of interact with the world? And, I'm a helper, number 2 in the Enneagram. And so, I'm easily involved in interactions with people where I'm helping them in different kinds of ways, right? I get energy from that. I like doing that. And then the dynamic cultural leadership model is really a way to look at yourself, the team that you work on, and the group and the organization itself. Just focus on the team component of that. And then what you learn here, you're going to write, I said, write a short essay on what you learn in that exercise, and then submit that with your journal for this week coming up, which keep the journal at 2 pages. So this could be 2-3 paragraphs. And you will complete that as part of your journal submission. And
okay,
then,
that was my question. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. And then the other thing too, which I don't know if I mentioned this or not, 2 calls, I don't know what I said, but the other piece is that these different activities, I try to structure the activities in every module so they build upon the leadership project. And so if we went through the leadership model, the second item there really talks about, look at your self-assessment findings, talk about those, identify those, discuss those, and then decide how are those findings going to influence your leadership model. So, great. What else?
Hi, this is Ethan. I have a question for the assessment.
Yeah.
You said, so we had to submit one essay for the assessments, 1 essay for the reflection paper, and for the three assessments that we do, how do we submit those? Or do we?
Yeah.
Or just.
Let me clarify, Ethan. I want to make sure that we're all tracking, because what I heard you say is that you think you need to submit 3 different things. In the self-assessments, you only need to submit a journal. And I'm gonna keep in mind that there are 3 different assessment tools that you're gonna complete. I'm not gonna see all of this work right here, okay? I'm not gonna see the output of that. I mean, some people have sent it to me, which is great, but I'm not interested in seeing this. What I'm interested in is that you're looking at the data for those, you're looking at the output. And when you do when you do both the Enneagram and the Clifton Strength Finders, you're gonna get a whole bunch of good stuff that's gonna tell you what your category is. And some of you guys have actually sent me your finding. You know, can tell you what the strengths are, the weaknesses, what's good about that, what you need to focus on, what are the landmines if you're a certain type of person, what are all really good stuff. But what you want to do here is if you go to the self-assessment, I clicked way too soon, but it basically says take your self-assessment findings and do your evaluation of your results and write a double-spaced summary. This is a separate. This right here will meet your journal requirements.
Okay. And so where do I submit that 1-page summary in the same place I submit the reflection as well?
Yeah.
Or
Yes.
okay, thank you.
Got it. All right. What else, guys?
What if you're still waiting on your book with the access code?
Send me an email.
Okay.
But remember, this will be real. This assignment will be a part of your leadership model. All right, folks. Well, it's 7:34. I don't have anything else. That was, I just wanted to meet with everyone face to face, walk through the modules, make sure we are good. I'm going to sign off if you guys are good. Everybody good? Have a great night, everyone. You know where to find me if you need me. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Professor.
Thank you.
All right,
Thank you,
take care,
Professor.
everyone.
Thank you.